go. We got it. We got it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. Okay, yeah, I got all that set. First, I'm going to be working on this Fyreslayer. Was so cool. I. It's funny how much I was laughing thinking about it today. I'm like, I really like. I love people's minis. Like I was looking at this, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting by myself looking at it, like, dude, that is so cool. In fact, I like there's like the dark edge on that smoke right there, and I don't know what it is about. I try to figure out sometimes why I really like something. I'll be like, hey, I really like. I'm like, well, what specifically do I like? And I think this one's the color tones, and he's got like that purple used in with the orange right there, and it's like some warm and some cool like mixed in subtly, and to me this miniature almost looks like a painting already, like because of the style he chose. And so we're going to try to not butcher it. That's what we're going for today. And then I had a question. Oh, Chiba Mech, thanks for joining. Let me put this up. What were you going to say, Lee?
Well, I'll just take. I'm I'm tuning in on obviously the stream here and on my phone for the YouTube because I'm going to post a picture in the Discord so people can see what I see when doing these actual live streams, just to give you a sense of reality, what can happen, what can go wrong, in fact, as well. Because at the moment, I can hear you fine, everything and fine and dandy, but I'm just posting this up in the live stream into the Discord now, and just you'll be amazed of what I can see tomorrow. Is what I can see. I can see the future in small snatches, because half the screen. Well, it looks like I'm actually having some sort of physical bodily arrest.
Seriously, it does.
Yeah. So anyone who's in the Discord can check the picture. I'll just post it out on the general part of Artist Empire's Discord.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I can't even look at my Discord right now. I'll have to check it later.
I could show you the picture, but I don't know if you'll be able to. If I can't see if you can see. So,
see, I see you fine, dude. Wait,
right.
Okay, let me switch. I'm going to switch camera real quick and zoom in on you. I'm going to give you solo screen real quick. Let me see. Oh, wild.
Yeah, I can't even see that.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, see?
So I'm switching back to my phone's YouTube version of this highly entertaining seat of the pants viewing pleasure we have.
Chiba Mech, is the screen fine for you, or are you like I'm watching and everything looks good for me, but I'm just making sure that everyone else. Yo, Toffee. And Toffee, you too, if you're watching, is your screen like fine? Do you see me and Lee fine and everything? I just want to double check.
Yeah.
Me and Lee, Lee and I. Lee and I and Lee.
The Empire.
Dun, dun, dun. Over a year. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. Have you, I have no idea where this question even comes from. Have you ever been in some sort of like talent show? Like even in school or whatever. I don't think I've ever done one. And I don't even know why that question popped up in my brain, but I just thought it was like.
I've done at school. It's gone semi back to normal now. Yeah, so at school, I remember being part of like a dance recital type thing.
Okay.
And when I was a lot younger, we done something. Well, it was very impromptu. I suppose in a way a talent show of some sort.
Yeah.
We was all dressed up. I was dressing myself up to be an X-wing pilot using a skateboard, crash helmet, and a jacket that I had, which happened to be orange and puffy.
Yeah.
I looked nothing like an X-wing pilot, but in my head, I was the most awesome X-wing pilot ever as a 7-year-old. And I remember going up to the stage and not being allowed on the stage by one of the older kids in our. No, no, you don't go on. And I'm like, what? But I'm the best thing. But I don't even remember what we was doing. It was very impromptu, put together thing for our youth club. Had gone to some place to do this. I had no idea. It was a very vague memory, but a dance recital I remember because we were doing to the tune of the Specials' "Ghost Town," which was a very big sort of hit in the 80s over in this side of the world.
Yeah.
Specials were like a reggae influenced punk mod band.
Okay.
And yeah, they would. If you go on YouTube, you'll find, if you search for "Ghost Town" by the Specials and listen to it, it's a very unique sound they have. And yeah, I danced to that with the rest of my class at this sort of inter-class dance recital. So that's the only ones that spring to mind.
All right. Yeah,
Obviously,
no,
I've done lots.
I don't even know what made me think of that. Oh, well, I was like, Lee might have done something funky for something. Like
Cosplay I've done.
every you figure it this way. Wait, every one of the Titan walks is one of your talent shows.
We've
So
actually got
yes,
one this
I
weekend.
pretty much always am in a talent show. You've seen my Titans, haven't you? Everybody has.
My dancing Titans. Yeah, we've got a Titan walk this weekend. Greetings from the Warp event that's going on in Northampton,
Okay.
which is a 3-day hobby extravaganza.
Extravaganza. Have you been to much? How is the so here I stopped at a bar the other day and like one time I went in the evening, right? Like more on the evening, it was like a Friday or something, right? So I go there and I already saw the parking lot. I'm like, well, they have an outside section, but it was kind of cool. But I open the door and it's like packed, right? And I'm still not like, I don't want like packed places, you know? So I'm like, I went out there, I went back a different day at like, I said like 5 or 6. So kind of like after work and it was busy, but not like totally packed. You could tell in a few hours it would probably be like a really packed and whatever. So I guess what I'm asking is like, what's the general vibe of like, say a pub over there? You know what I mean?
Well,
Or bar
over
or
here.
whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Well, firstly, I want to say hello to Martin, the Great Potato
Yeah,
Mage.
Martin. It's
In
an
there,
honor.
always fun to have Martin around, and his great mageness of the potato. But yeah, over here, restrictions on wearing masks and stuff have been lifted. There has been an increase in sort of COVID cases, strangely enough, because there's no restrictions on wearing masks and that now. So people go wherever they want, do whatever they want within reason, pretty much.
Are the
And
places pretty like fullish or you know what I mean? Like what's your is the
within
would you say it's
reason,
like
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, like there've been like pubs over here. You've been able to go like and have like outside service sort of thing
Yeah.
for ages. But yeah, I haven't been in. Well, no, I have been in a pub. Tell a lie.
Yeah, I just didn't know if like if it was I wouldn't say back to normal, but I mean as far as like capacity or people going, I'm like, okay, would you say it's like 60, 70, 80, 90? You know what I mean? Back to kind of whatever. And here it seems like I haven't been much, but it seems like it's still lower in some cases, but things like bars have been like surprisingly like I got to drive by a couple like, man, it's busy and stuff. Some of the restaurants will be, getting all busy and everything. So yeah, I didn't know how it was like over there.
Potatomancy is a fairly rare
Potato
magical
mincy.
discipline. It has to be said.
I wonder if that words are like
I know one
sometimes
magical name that comes from
it's
potatoes and vodka.
it's funny where like something like that, like there's sometimes you come up with words I'm like, okay, has potato mancy ever been typed before by a human. You know what I mean? There's like some, even like a phrase. You're like, hey, wait, this is like, has that someone ever said this? You might be like the first person to ever coin potatomancy. Probably not,
Possibly,
but it's
probably
possible.
not. You know, I like using the phrase "fucktastic."
Foxtastic?
Fuck.
Yeah. Oh, fucktastic. All right.
When you go, oh my god, that is absolutely fucktastic.
Fucktastic.
You know, uh, that's when I'm in my crude
That's when you're in the
mood.
zone.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like to sort of, because that's the thing. Like a lot of British sort of swear words with our creativity,
Hmm.
like calling somebody a
Well,
cock,
yeah, yeah.
which was quite popular
They
a
do have,
while back.
there is some flavorful like stuff, and then after this, you watch enough like movies over there and pick up some stuff, and like it's funny because a lot of it I'd watch something a few times, and like you would pick up a little slight something that someone said, like, oh, that's what that means or whatever. Then obviously talking to a lot more UK folks on here helps me catch up with my slang.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah. There was a time when a lot of Americans didn't know what the word bollocks meant, or
Yeah.
if
Oh yeah. There's probably still a ton who don't.
oh yeah, totally. You know, and
Yeah,
plus,
that's
like,
only, you're right. That's like, I mean, when did they start getting, okay, wait, maybe this is like so American. Maybe did bollocks get used a lot in oh gosh, what was the Mike Myers one where he's the spy? Like
oh
that's
yeah,
probably, yeah, like that's the way Americans would learn about what bollocks mean is by like some popular movie using it. Like that's like how we would learn it.
yeah. Is it like there's because with bollocks is used in so many different conversational situations.
Yeah.
Like if I hit a hammer on my thumb, I'll go, "Oh bollocks,"
Oh,
sort of thing.
yeah.
But by the same thing, you know, drinking a nice cold Budweiser is the bollocks.
Oh, yeah.
So use it as a good and a negative as well.
Yeah.
Or bollocks to you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you're being a dick, you know, bollocks to you. Too, you know, as I said, it's, I think we do that with shit as well. You know, oh man, this is
Yeah.
the shit,
Oh, yeah.
or well, this is a load. So yeah, we like to mix it up in that respect, just so just to confuse you guys, really.
You may see, Mark, you may have witnessed history here, folks, with the coining of the word potatomancy. It could have happened.
Yeah, and fuck a
It's like,
riddle diddle. Um,
yeah.
I do swear that once upon a time, there was I used a phrase like there was like it was like a yo mama type thing,
Yeah.
you know, and I got a bit scientific with it by going yo mama's so fat she has her own gravity well, she forms a gravity well or something along those lines,
Yeah, guys are all, yeah.
or gravity. Um, and you know, I remember saying that in the early 2000s, and then a few years later, seeing a comedian say the same sort of phrase,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
joke. Um, so it's just like, you know, it's got to start somewhere. Somebody has to say something, and then it
Somebody
is.
has to do it.
There was once upon a time. I remember reading a thing about that. If you knew a secret and you told the two people in your phone directory that you knew lived, like, obviously this is before internet years as well.
Hmm.
If you phoned the two people in your phone book that live the furthest away, um, and they told two people in the same situation,
Yeah.
within 48 hours, the entirety of Britain would know that secret. If each person told two people that they knew at different areas. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's how rumors spread.
That is how rumors spread. Martin, did you see all the? I don't even know if you like. See how many? I don't even know how many Titans Martin has painted now. He's all fully snapped into whatchamacallit, man. He's been painting Titans. He's got a lot going on over there. I saw. I was like, dang.
That's
I
why we don't see
had
a lot
missed.
of them.
I
Too
like.
busy painting
I only.
Titans.
Wait. Say that again, Lee.
And that's probably why we haven't seen him for a while, because he's been
Yeah.
industriously building up a fleet of Titans.
I did talk to him. I'm like, hey, I mean, I'm like, you got. I seen you. Build a lot of Titans or whatever. They all look really cool, man. And I'm like, did you play yet? He's like, oh, of course not. I'm like, oh god, it's such the thing. He's got all this stuff and it like looks really good. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't have a chance to play yet. Like that is such the way of things.
It is the way.
It's just the
Yeah,
way.
so we've got this weekend's Titan Walk. Then
You got 11 already? Martin has 11. Dang, he just started too.
Oh, that's the thing, though. Is once you start,
You overachievers make me
good,
sick.
ooh, ooh,
That's what
I
I'm
tell you,
saying.
I tell you, lad, you just ooh, you're in the zone with them. Yeah.
Overachievers.
Well,
That
that's
does
the
it.
thing. I find it hard sometimes to when I see people like build like I commented on Twitter. I think maybe yesterday. Actually, it was today. Tell a lie. Someone was saying about it's just taking me so long. It takes so long to paint a Warlord Titan off at A2.
Yeah.
And I thought it doesn't for me. But I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
it
yeah.
takes as long as it takes for you in your whatever skill sets you're in.
Hmm.
I am a fast painter. That's why people like hate me as well as love me in equal measures, because I'll start something and then it's finished.
Yeah,
Um,
that's even in like art or like commercial art or whatever you want to say. That was my biggest, yeah, that was a mistake. So in like especially like professionally, you would be younger and you're trying to really like, hey, I got to make all this perfect and it was such the wrong approach. It was, and I took the right approach with paintovers. It was like, dude, speed and the basics, man, and don't try to be like, oh, I'm going to do this great thing. Like, dude, get the bit, like, be able to do it fast, man. Whatever you do it fast, have it look cool. Don't try to overdo stuff, and then keep layering in, but do it with speed. You know what I mean? So it becomes a thing. And I wish I would have taken that approach when I was younger, but I'm glad I applied it now on things. And I think with for me personally, like if it was, hey, paint a Titan, that's the only way I could do it is what's a nice quick, hey, I'll have it look good. I just want to paint it, get one painted, man. Like and you'll see people that like, oh, I wish it was, so much better and I got to paint it. And I'm looking at the Titan like, dude, this thing is beautiful. Like, it's a finished painting, finished painted Titan, dude. You took some time on it. You weren't just trying to like slop it. And I'm like, dude, it's cool. I'm like, you've got like something that's cool. It's like painted, it represents it. And, I'm like, don't you see some people like because it's like we view our own artwork and you always kind of want to half knock it or whatever, and I'm always like, I'm not attached to their artwork, so I can just enjoy it. It's like, oh no, that's really cool.
there's say like Martin was like, I painted them all at the same time, assembled them all, production lined, and finished them up individually on the final bits. And
Oh,
that I've seen loads of people over the last couple of months where they have built all the Titans and stuff like that. But the only time I get any sort of miniature sort of production line was with knights, because you get a box of knights, there'd be three of them, so you
mm-hmm.
build three of them. Whereas Titans, yes, you'll get like I would get like the thingy box, like the well, I say what Warhounds I build and paint two at a time, but then
Okay.
every other box I would just do one Titan at a time,
Yep.
and go through, do bosh whatever. But nights I do the miniature sort of production line. So again, because it might come in a box of two or three, I would
Yep.
just do that. But like Martin, there's like him. There's some other people like Livid Fish. I know was building like 5 or 6 War Master Titans. He built them all, and
Oh
then
God. Oh my God. Yeah, that would just,
so,
I would be overwhelmed.
hmm,
That wouldn't fly for me because I'd be overwhelmed. And that may be like a faster, because I mean most things even working like a production format is kind of like the faster one, and but it would just feel too overwhelming for me.
But every hobbyist had their own way about
Yeah,
doing
yeah, that's it.
things.
It's kind of, hey, it's like whatever, whatever works. It's
Exactly. So, like, there's no right or wrong way to
no,
hobby. However you want to do it, however you're comfortable, and just enjoy it as much as you can, sort of thing. But yeah, you do get like I said, like where people say like, "Oh, you paint them so fast and all that." So I've never been that fast. They said, "Well, I'm not fast in painting. I'm just efficient with what I do,
yeah. Yeah, and
and it's
it's
just
like anything
working out
else.
that
You
skill."
do it a bunch, you get faster. You know what I mean? Just because
Yeah,
your process smooths out. You're like, oh, I know this and that, and I'll do this. And
exactly. Yeah, once you've got like a paint scheme, like especially like when you're
hmm
building armies, once you've broken the back of how to paint a model, it becomes a lot easier. And then you're just
yeah,
like, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Um, but say like for me, if I built a lot of models and had them sitting there, they would actually probably have a negative effect to me because I'm just looking at a wall of grey that I could
yeah,
see
yeah.
thing. Whereas I'm doing them individually, I
You're
get
seeing
through one,
progress. Yeah, you're
yeah,
like, oh
I
wow,
get it
yeah.
done, and I can admire it, appreciate it, take some photographs and stuff, and then I move on to the next one. Um, like inadvertently, there was one week where I was literally building and painting a Titan a day, pretty much. Um,
Yeah.
well, it could have been quicker, but when I realised this, I thought, oh, I've built 4 Titans, and it's been like 4 days. I wonder
hmm
if I can do a Titan for like 7 Titans because I had a stockpile. But then I got ill, so I lost like
Uh,
2 days. And
I
yeah,
mean,
I should have cheated
that's
small stuff.
that's the thing with any of it. Like, and I mean, it takes a while. It took me a while. Like, I'm older now, so you get used to shit. But when, like, even the artwork, like, okay, and a lot of times you're like working on a deadline and they'll push stuff up and like it'll be like, oh, hey, complete all this in X amount of days. You're like, dude, that is just like, in art, for me, like a lot of it too is you can't rush it in some regards because your brain has to see what the flaw is. Like, if I'm working on something and I think something's off, like my brain might not process quick enough, like what's wrong? Why does it bother me? You know what I mean? So I usually need a little bit of space, and then you like that's where I would develop all the techniques. I'm like, okay, well, you got to then be drawing on or like working on a few different things at once, because then you can kind of reset your brain and go to another one. And then if you were, so, and then it was like, oh, it would come down to like time of days. I'm like, all right, wake up early and like, and it was like sometimes the hardest thing to be like, okay, wake up and now start drawing. You know what I mean? Like, go. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
dude, I'm
get
not
on
ready
with it.
yet for, you know what I mean? It's like, in a lot of it for me was your mind has to be in the right space. You know what I mean? Like, okay, are you like, is it like, hey, you're seeing all this, like, okay, it's cool. It's my head's in here. I'm in the game drawing, and so it was just like a whole mental thing to be able to bring your mind to that space like almost all the time. You know what I mean? I think because whatever, even assembling miniatures and painting them, that's all art. You know what I mean? And like if you were, I think of it, dude, what if that's like your full-time job was, hey man, you gotta make and paint miniatures as your job. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what if my job was like, okay, start assembling. It's like, are you really gonna be able to like do it every day, all that way? And for me, like some of that stuff is just like the mental exercise of, okay, what, can you do it? You know what I mean? Like in like so it's just, I think of that sometimes, like, yeah, what if you were literally like assembling and making all those models like it was your job?
Well, that's the thing. Is like when you look at like the guys at like Warhammer um, TV and stuff like that,
hmm
all the like the studio painters, they do get a few people going through there, and like apart from like the real big sort of celebrity painters like
hmm
we for now, like Chris Beach, um, they probably might not do as much painting as they would do if they were, a sort of entry level Crimson. Because they're the face of Warhammer TV sort of thing.
Yeah.
But probably not as much as others, because they have had quite a few.
Well, yeah, they have. That's like you have other responsibilities. You know what I was just meaning like, okay, what if you were literally like, almost commission painter? You know what I mean? Where you're like, hey, okay, I'm gonna be, putting that stuff out. I'm like, it takes that a level of like, just discipline or just fitting you. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't fit. I think a lot of times when I was younger, what sucked is drawing didn't fit first few years for me like all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, you're going through this. And it's like, and it was weird because I used to be like the most as a young person sit down and just patiently draw for like a whole day. Like you just sit there for like 10 hours and just like not leave a drawing and be like there. And now, oh God, I can never, I wouldn't say never do it because if you had to hit deadlines, but I still have to like, it's like, all right, just take a break. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll be like an hour and be like, okay, take 15 minutes, go do something, whatever, and then come back to it and everything. I can't do those like the super marathon.
Just stop right there. Have you not seen the news?
Whoa.
Big news.
A Crimson Air? Due on 11/24? Congrats, dude. Yeah. Cheers. I don't have anything to cheers with right here, though.
I'll drink for both of us, don't worry.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. He's going to be teaching those miniatures a lesson, he or she.
24th of the 11th. That's 2 days after my middle brother's birthday, which is also Katie Dembski Bowden's birthday. So that's a good reason to be in, I think. So yeah, get him in there, little baby Crimson,
a little Crimson. Flowing locks. Whenever the child come out with flowing locks, that'll be like full, huge head of hair right off the rip, dude.
I hope he or she has the figure of our uncle Forge, and the artistic skills of her uncle artist.
Oh, Martin's gonna go grab his beer.
Yep, he's potato mancy beer.
Potato mancy. A wee little bit of potato mancy. Yeah, dude.
Odyssey Bennett Noonan or Morrigan Lynn Noonan. I like them.
Actually, those are cool. Something different, but not wacky. It's like that's nothing wacky. So I like it like a little different, but sometimes people do like different. Okay, just a little weird or whatever. But I'm like, I like something that kind of like a name that stands out a little bit, but yet isn't weird.
Odyssey. They've already changed the names as well, So we've got, what is it? We're into the 4th month, so it's like 8 months to go. Oh no, I
was laughing. I was talking to someone the other day. I'm like, yeah, it's still no kids for me. I'm like, I'm just. I mean, maybe I'm still raising myself. I mean, like maybe I'm closing in like on adulthood. Like I feel like I'm just closing in on adulthood now. I'm like, I'm getting close, man. So I'm like, I feel like I've raised myself. Like that was my whole thing.
Yeah, no, Odysseus. That's cool. Yeah, I see. At the moment, I love all like Greek history, like Troy, jazz. But with some of the people in the Titans Owners Club, before our little meetup, we had a few at the start of March where we was buying lots of Titans. People were basically taking people down to the Warhammer store in London and buying Titans. I had this sort of epiphany, and I saw myself, and I don't think unjustly, as
a hero.
Beard, hair. I can turn myself into a goose if I wanted to, and I have magical powers, because Injun Phil was there, and Rob Walters, who you've done paintovers for before.
Oh yeah.
And Rob Walters, obviously, because he's Titan bases, there's a lot of water involved. He's
Yeah,
Poseidon.
man.
He's like my brother, Poseidon. Engine Phil, because he's a grumpy old sod. And he comes up from the underworld. He's Hades. I adopted two people. Well, basically, the reason why I was down there because my friend Ivy and Luke, who again part of the Titans Owners Club, their birthdays are really close, and I just said they're like twins. It's Apollo and Artemis. So I'm got these people. I'm basically drawing in, and that's our little Greek deity pantheon. So you got the Big Daddy Zeus.
Yeah, I'll take the prime role, of course.
Well, it's the only one who would fit me. Come on. Look, if you look,
it's only because it fits. It's not like I'm hogging the best one. It's only because it fits.
I'm a bit of a character. I get into trouble.
You pull it off.
I can cast lightning bolts if I need to. Well, in my younger days, I would consider myself to be a bit of a man whore. and honestly, there was one time I was thinking about it, and in our group of friends, there was like there wasn't a woman that I hadn't been involved with in some way. So obviously, Zeus chilled out as he got older.
It happens. Yeah.
And so obviously that's why I would be Zeus. Because of past exploits back in the day. Obviously, I'm older, mature.
Because of some,
But yeah, well, God help me if I find out who Hera is.
Yeah, there you go.
But Odysseus, I approve of Odysseus, and I approve of Morrigan as well, because the Morrigan is an Irish deity. She's a deity of war, amongst other things. So yeah, I have a friend who is basically one of the most sort of foremost sort of officials on sort of Irish history and sort of thing. She's got a whole sort of like following and all that. She goes and does like lessons on learning about sort of Irish paganism and deities and stuff like that. She explained to me about the Morrigan.
Okay, wait. Sorry to interrupt her. What is they holding? This is obviously a Fyreslayer. At first, it's like, oh, some dagger thing.
It's sort of like a sigil. It's like a magical rune that's giving off smoke, I'd assume.
Okay, so that is okay. Yeah, I just and I hadn't given it any thought, and then I was like, wait a second, that's what I thought. So, would we all agree that's kind of magical sigil that's giving off smoke?
At first look, it looks like a bent dagger.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was like, oh, wait a second, I never really looked at it yet. So yeah, he's holding like a sigil, and it's smoking.
That's smoke coming off of the heated fire.
Yo, Goathead, thanks for swinging by. We were just discussing what gods we are. I wasn't. I don't have that kind of ego, but some people in this place do.
Oh no, you're just an entire empire.
Yeah, that's when tax time comes. I'm like, hey, are you a small business? Or that? No, I'm an empire, and there's no line for paying an empire tax, so I'm exempt. No such thing as an empire tax.
You don't get empire tax.
Yeah. You never see like, hey, there's an empire tax. No, there's a small business tax. I'm not a small business, people. This is a much bigger operation, dude.
Looks like a lightning bolt to me.
I should look them up. It's a Fyreslayer, so I will end up doing the right thing and do my due diligence later and make sure I put the right.
Oh, of course, yes. shows that were on Amazon, which I was watching during lockdown. Which one was basically covering Troy, the Iliad, and then there was another one. It had about 10 episodes to it, and then there was one that was about like the Greek gods and the creation of the Greek gods and stuff like that. And the amount of times I'm watching this thing, and you see like this person had been wronged by somebody, and it might have been a young woman who's been pestered by some evil sort of like, you know, randy dude.
Yeah.
And you go calls to the gods and go, oh, help me, save me from this dude of horniness, and they got turned into a tree. And it's like, but what about the dude? He's the one being horny. Why should he be turned into a tree? Or even like the whole. This is one thing, right? So there was a sculptor who did a sculpture of Medusa holding Perseus's head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw it. It was just like a year or two ago, and it was like a big thing about like the patriarchy and stuff like that. And yes, Medusa kills Perseus. I think. Now, I thought, okay, but Perseus wasn't the person that turned her into a gorgon. It should have been, I think it was Poseidon or Hades. It might have been or Hades.
Yeah.
It was a god basically that violated her Medusa because she was a priestess to Athena, and this god, I think it was Hades. It could have been. It was one of the two of them. Basically, was very lustful and, you know, had his way with this high priestess within Athena's temple. Athena then turned her into a gorgon because obviously she was disappointed that, you know, all the priestesses should have been virgins, and she turned her into a gorgon, and that way men couldn't do that to her because she would just look at them and turn into stone.
Yeah.
So she got punished by the god that she worshipped and turned into this gorgon, and then she went and lived with another two sort of like gorgons on the
Well,
island.
that's the good thing. At least with the Greek stuff, you read that and you just be like, oh yeah, life isn't fair. Like, that's the way more other like, man, what kind of whacked out? I would just be like, dude, I'm just glad I'm here now because it's a little better off than back then. Because like, you know, I'm like, it's not much. You can go around and be like, yeah, but it's a little like those stories. I'm like, man, those people learned some weird lessons back then that I'm not sure I want to learn now.
But as I said, like Medusa got turned into this, you know, for a man to look at or human. I don't know if it was just men, but they like, you know, they turn stone if they look upon her, sort of thing. So that's a pretty lonely life, you know. Yeah. So she's been on the rough end of things, and as I say, this sculpture done her holding triumphantly Perseus's head. Now, if that actually happened, if Medusa had killed Perseus, then his mother would have ended up basically a slave to this king that was the king of the land where Perseus lived, sort of thing. And you know, this king had designs, and that's why he challenged Perseus to go there to slay Medusa, because you know she's a monster, and you know lots of people have gone there to try and kill her and been unsuccessful, which Perseus was obviously aided by Athena, who turned Medusa into a gorgon in the first place. What's wrong with her? And then so his mother would have been taken by this king, you know, maybe against her will. So that's not a good place to live. Also, Perseus would have then rescued Andromeda from being sacrificed to Cetus, the Kraken from Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
So Andromeda, who was an innocent woman in this whole thing, because her mum boasted oh yeah, my daughter's more beautiful than Hera. Hera thought, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, that's what you see. That the old shit used to teach you lesson. Like you can't even run your mouth because your kid will get cursed. Like you
Yeah,
can't. Like now everyone's like, I see people like, man, I don't know. I always see these like, it's you get online and like people will just be like, like how they talk to each other and stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't know, but like dude, everything, all that stuff's fun and games. So even nowadays, you pick the wrong person, dude. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
even like violence, all that stuff. I'm like, dude, run in your mouth. I'm like, yeah, that's all cute until you find out there are psychos out there. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah.
like, just like, hey man, I'm like, shit happens, dude. I don't want no part of any of that bad juju.
Well, yeah, again, so you've got all that. So with Medusa holding Perseus's head is the wrong person that Medusa should be holding the head of, sort of thing. That's my point with that. But again, like what you're saying there, that like you've got to be careful with your mouth and all that, because the whole thing about the Trojan War all escalated because Paris was given a test between Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, um, who was the fairest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And basically, Hera, was it Athena said, "If you choose me, you'll be victorious in wars." Hera said, "If you choose me, um, you will basically be like, you'll have a great land and stuff like that." And I think Aphrodite said, like, "If you choose me, you will have the most beautifulest woman in the world." To a horny teenager.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what's the choice?
Well, so I can have sex with the most
Yeah.
beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah, like,
And,
so all the other stuff is like whatever.
yeah. So I don't know what you other people said. I'm having C. I'm taking option C in this situation. Um, but yeah, it's like, okay, so that happened, and then because Athena and Hera were slighted by this, considering that Aphrodite was meant to be like the goddess of love, and she's always been perceived to be the most beautiful of all the gods,
Hmm.
isn't, again, horny teen. It's like, yeah, Aphrodite, she's got it going on.
Yeah, like whatever she's into, I'm into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
Like I like all
yeah,
that Aphrodite stuff, dude.
yeah. And she's giving me, if I choose her, I get to have it with the most beautifulest woman in the
Like
world.
like some what are the other choices? Like good at farming or some slop? Like
Yeah,
what are the other
like,
ones? I don't even know. I don't want to play
yeah.
a lyre.
Good in
I don't
Paul's
want to
being
play
that
a
play with
lyre or a
anyone.
lute really good.
Yeah, yeah. Undefeated in war. We
Yeah,
don't fight.
I don't even want to wage
Yeah,
any wars, dude. Like that's a dumb one. Be like, hey, you want to be undefeated at war, or you want this hottie? Well,
yeah, yeah. We want
I
this
don't plan
high.
on waging any war, so we'll just avoid that.
Yeah. If the gods there hadn't got involved, Paris would have been just sitting there looking after the sheep.
Yeah,
You know?
I know,
Troy
and
would
that's
still
always
be a thing.
like it was. I would read those, like I read them really young too, and it was always like all this stuff would happen, and like all these people would get sucked into it, and a whole bunch of dead people, and it really had nothing to do with any of them. You know what I mean? It was like, man, you like some of those lessons are like there's some real lessons in that stuff, dude. Like it's like be careful of your tragedies. That's like I'm like all I do is try to send little good seeds. I'm like, hey man, my plan with this, like, hey, be cool to a lot of people around the world. So if World War III or the plague or whatever breaks out, like my whole country might turn to shit. I might have to flee to Australia, and maybe I'll know someone there who I'd be cool. Like hedge my stuff all over. Somebody like, yeah, dude, that guy wasn't bad. Yeah, you can come flee here, dude. That's cool. So this is like my networking apocalypse plan, dude.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, so you got to keep your. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of the Greek gods were douchebags in a lot of
They
respects.
really were. I mean, like it was always just so weird what they're like, and then even especially like the little more obscure type stories. You know what I mean? And like you would read their like some of the history stuff. They had some great. I like the early historians back then had some really cool. Just like it was always a trip to me to like read a slice of life of like what someone was doing like 2000 years ago. You know, they're living their whole life, they have their thing and the problems and you know what they're talking about. And they used to always talk about like, you know, oh, people back then are so stupid or this and that. I'm like, okay, dude, yeah, I get it. They didn't have access to the same information, but I'm like, they're far from stupid. Like, go read like what they were talking about in the public circle and like how they were talking, the problems they were handling, and the level of discourse, and then compare it to Twitter. like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not even in the same like league, dude. There's like nothing. Maybe like they're like debating these points and everything just in their society, and then like yeah, go look at our like politicians and shit on Twitter, dude, and be like, you know, like no, everyone's regressing. You're all getting dumber.
It is, unfortunately. It's, well, you know, people like Socrates, you know, great thinkers. They literally spent every moment he was awake thinking on things, thinking how to solve solutions and problems and stuff like that. You know, and although he did have a little bit of, I think he had a thing where he was saying like, you know, if you to be a great thinker, you have to do it all the time. You know, so no work. You literally just stayed at home, got supported by somebody, and just think stuff. Yeah, all those sort of great illuminaries, you know, who spent their time just thinking and you know philosophy. You know, what's this? What's that? And how's this? You know, a thing.
And plus, like back then, like it's just, I mean, it happens now, but the thing is, like, oh, okay. Hey, oh, Eutychus. Thanks for calling back. And Jacob, thanks for making it. This is Jacob's dwarf, by the way. Or Duarden. I
Ah,
don't Duarden. I don't even know how to pronounce him now. Oh, and Jacob, if you're still here, this is a rune. This is a rune that is smoking, correct? So just let me know if that is the case that he's
he's got a rune
holding.
on his leg. If you look down to the right, there's a rune
Oh, yeah. I'm
down
gonna have
here as
that
well.
glow too. Yeah. I just want to make sure right because I want to make that thing glow really nice and affect it up if that is the case. So as I block stuff in, I have some good kind of. I dig it. I want him like he's going into this place and it's his realm, but he's got to like either chase something out or whatever. So I'm kind of trying to get the vibe. I put the nice black spot. I'll heat up that torch. I want to have some good light coming off there. And I'll do the same down here. For right now, I kind of took away a little bit of his lighting, but I'm going to put it back there so I can have the kind of hot lava in there and get a couple different layers in.
Hot Java lava.
Hot Java lava. I do like these models, man. The AOS models, it's a hot one. Yeah, the AOS models are some of my favorites, man. They've been. What did they just do? Oh yeah, we didn't talk with the squats, bro.
I was
Squats,
just about to say that. That's why I was
squats,
like,
bro.
well, what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the League of Voltan?
How about them squats, bro? Wait, was the squats? Did squats?
Squats. Well, if you're on
Well, I
Necromunda,
knew them
that's
all, but I'm like, I'm trying to think because I'm trying to think of a
you're rocking
tie-in to the Thud gun. Did this? I know the Marines had a Thud. Yeah, the squats didn't have a Thud gun. What was the other ones that the squats had?
no, no, that's squad.
Did
Shotguns.
they have a thud? I didn't know if they were known for the thud gun and then the Marines had it or whatever. But I love this. I wanted that thing to work so bad, and I don't think I ever had any decent one shot with a stupid ass thud gun. I was like, I fell in love with the. Remember the one where? Oh, I don't know if you've ever played that. It would have the thud gun. It had blast templates. It had a
Mm.
blast template, but it was like four small round ones. So like the first one would land and then you would adjust where the next one was and the next one and the next one. And so it
Is
always
exactly how they've done it in Heresy with the FUD gun.
okay. And so
FUD
that's
gun was still a thing, so they would do one would hit and then you'd flip the template
yeah.
depending which way
So
to scatter.
that's it. And I was in love with the idea. I'm like, oh yeah, you can cover a lot of ground. It never hit squat. And then if it never killed anything, I was like, oh my gosh.
They got more efficient in Heresy. They were like having a FUD battery. You know, especially certain legions as well, like Death Guard, because they
Yeah.
could get phosphorus
Yeah. I mean, I guess you'd have to have like, yeah,
canisters. If you had an infantry heavy army, they wouldn't be around for long because Phosphorex would absolutely rinse infantry models. It's like, and they'd be putting like loads of these templates down over something, so you have
yeah.
multiple sleeves and you will die, especially to Phosphorex. But you've got the so the League of Voltan. We've only seen the one model.
Yeah, so wait, okay, wait. So League of Voltan, I am not familiar with that name at all. I was trying to remember there, I mean, like I said, squats, it hasn't been since whatever when I was like reading them in the White Dwarf and have, be exposed. So I don't know. I don't recall the League of Voltan or anything about them at all.
Um, well, again, going back to their sort of early history, there was actually a post yesterday dealing with a lot of their sort of like stuff from the early days.
Hmm.
They had the land trains with the Cyclops,
Yeah. Yeah, dude, they had a couple of really cool things back in the day.
the gyrocopter things, type things, and the dirigibles that flew around and
Gotta
stuff.
love a dirigible.
The exo armor quad
Yeah.
bike trikes. Sorry, but yeah, it's like they exist. They are technologically savvy. They're stubborn, and they operate in sort of like brotherhood type things, and they call
Hmm.
themselves the King. There was
Yeah, I
um,
was it was surprising that I was just unfamiliar with that type of faction. I'm like, I guess maybe you just don't remember or whatever.
they started with Imperial Knights when they re-brought Imperial Knights in. Um, Originally, they set it up that the Imperial Knights households were a separate faction and were sort of allied to the Imperium and the
Yeah,
Mechanicum.
yeah,
So you had the Imperium, you had the Mechanicum, who were part of the Imperium sort of thing, and then you had this little bubble of the Imperial Knights, and they can choose who they allied with. They're now that's been forgotten. They're there. They choose which house, whatever who they want to choose for.
okay.
Um, so that's why you've got the different types of Mechanicum houses and Imperial houses. Um, so again, these squats slash um, demiurge, because they were sort of the demiurge,
Yeah.
alluded to demiurge.
Mm.
Although I did hear a different description of the demiurge being basically humans, but miniaturized, not stuntified like dwarves.
Yeah, but miniaturized.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, if you was like a 6 foot tall version of me, made down to a 4 foot tall version of me, all in
Yeah,
proportion. So they were like jockeys, basically.
yeah.
Um, but they never done anything with that. So obviously, the demiurge could be the League of Voltan, um, Brotherhood, or a family of the Brotherhood, who's because they sold technology to um, the Tau.
Yeah.
The
It'll
Tau
be
like
Yeah,
technology.
see, that's gonna be a trip. Like, I like stuff like that just because they were so. I'm like, okay, what is a little bit of the story? Like, I do like the fact of like them just updating the story. Like, hey, what's going on? It's like, yeah, dude, there's so many things you can do with that, and they're back, and you new weapons, new this, new that. So it's just like an exciting little thing.
Yeah, because the whole thing about the Scots were eradicated by the Tyranids. That was just something that somebody said at a convention once, and everyone took it as canon. It's
Yeah,
never been down that they've been wiped out or anything like that. It was just basically somebody said, "Oh yeah, their home worlds got
thanks for
eaten by."
joining. I'll see you soon. Glad you no longer have COVID, Eutychus. Talk to you
But
soon, man.
yeah, so they're it'd be interesting to have them in there again because they're basically a, a humanoid race that aren't xenophobes, the
Yeah,
xenophiles, race
yeah.
other cultures. but they are stubborn and grumpy, but they have really good technology.
No,
So
it's a great. It'll be a great thing to work with. In me, I'm already like everything always turns into Necromunda gang. So I'm like, oh, take these with the AOS dwarves, like so take the squats and the dwarves and put them together and make a Necromunda gang, dude. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, oh, dude, you take those and then put those like balloon things on them. You know what I mean? And merge some of those like things. I'm like, you have a cool little funky force.
yeah, we'll say we've only seen the one model, so we'll see more as time goes on. So we got that to look forward
Oh,
to.
yeah. Oh, and then wait till they're whatever. Did they ever get? No, they never got Titans or anything. They had the big Goliaths. I never remember any Titan thing.
And they had the land trains.
They had the land train, so that's what I remember because they were an epic, weren't they? Squats were an epic. Yeah, that's where all the toys were. That's
I
where
think
the
they could also use like Leviathans as well, which were the big
yeah. I
imperial
remember Leviathans.
capitalist or whatever, um, capital imperialists or whatever they were, the big sort of like
Yeah,
movie. I think they could use them as well. Um,
yeah, they could.
so you know they'll have stuff galore, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought that was cool. I'm like, oh yeah, they'll be able to get a lot of new stuff in there.
Hmm,
Not
yeah,
goodies.
yeah, the Caradon overlords, and so like
I
Jacobs was
like
saying,
those.
potentially passionate Caradon overlords with the league. So
That's what I
yeah,
was thinking. I those models, man. I bought. This was funny. I bought that Soulbound or whatever the RPG was, and it was funny. I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna play an RPG, but I fall in love with creating characters even to this day. And so I flipped through. I was looking at what like whatever I'd be or character I'd want to make, and it was like, it was the Caradron. And then it's almost like their engine. I forget what the class was called, but it's kind of like an engineer. You know what I mean? So as the ship would be going, you'd be trying to keep it all like going and stuff. And they got all the suits and everything. And I was like, man, I'm like that would be a cool RPG setting is like one of those like the Caradron with the on an airship, but then like your crew of mismatched people or who whatever like have the airship. You know what I mean? So it's like the dwarf guy and these guys like little crew of whatever, and you're going on the airship. I'm like that would be like a cool just story. I'm like, and I was thinking I'm like, man, if I was doing it for GW, I'm like that's what would be my like quote unquote comic story. You know what I mean? It'd be like take those, make your group, put them on there, and then tell that as a story. I think it'd be a cool little setting.
little sort of traveling around with their
Yeah, yeah. So I think it'd be like a
visuals.
good way to go through the world and show stuff.
Yeah, it's lots of interests already because everyone was posting up. Well, I know I posted up like the picture from the trailer on April's Fool's Days,
Yeah.
but and I did not reply to anybody at all. I just put it out there because I just thought it's a double bluff. Nobody would spend out that amount of money on producing an
Yeah.
animation not to have it. You
Yeah.
know, it's a definite double bluff because everyone's thinking, "Oh, well, it's April the 1st." Yeah, didn't work.
Dude, they would not risk pissing everybody off like that. There's no way.
No,
Which I thought that would have been the better move. Like really bluff it. Like, hey, we make the model do everything. I'm like, yeah, we did all this. We're just not doing it for real. Bye. Like you like, everyone would flip out. Like you got a finished model. Like, yeah, we made this. We just want to do it April Fools. We thought it was great. Yeah, we don't like
yeah,
those squats. No one's getting them.
it's
No,
hilarious.
we find it hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think there was one on the axe as well.
Oh, wait, there is one. There's one in the. Oh, Lee, look at the eye on Lee. He's a professional. That is why Lee is a hobby. That's why he's a legend. He's the world's. I'm claiming it. Whatever. The world's most what painted.
Dude, the world's most dude.
The world's yeah. He's got the most painted Titans. I don't care. I can claim it because then you
Yeah,
don't have to back it up. You don't have to claim it because then I'll talk this shit for you. And then be like, "Oh, I didn't say I had the world." Well, that was him, dude. I'm like, yeah, he does.
It's one of the things. Is like when I was in my teens, I got into sort of like spiritualistness stuff and the runes, especially the
Hmm.
runes. I like the idea of reading all that sort of stuff and using runes of power and stuff like that. I even on my football boots when I was to play soccer,
Hmm.
I actually scraped in a sequence of runes to try and improve my performance in game. You know, being able to score goals and do good passes and stuff like that. And obviously, when you
Until Beckham crushed all your runes
this was no,
hopes,
that was
dude.
after Beckham. This was after
This is all.
Beckham was already got long gone.
Uh,
So this is in my like not even semi-professional career as a footballer. This was like what we call Sunday league over here. You know, like
okay.
every Sunday is a big religious thing, especially
Yeah.
in the home counties. You would have there's these places called like Wanstead Flats, which is in like outskirts of London,
Okay.
and there is dozens of football fields there. And on a Sunday, there are thousands of people playing
Yeah.
football against other teams in their
Yeah.
leagues.
That's kind of cool.
Like where we were, there was we was in the fifth division of the Forest and District League. So there was like 20 teams per division, sort of thing. So that's 100 teams straight off the bat
Dang.
playing in their different respective leagues. And then there was other leagues elsewhere around London because there's thousands of football teams, you know.
Yeah.
And so you'd go down to these places and other places as well, but like Wanstead Flats was the big one
Hmm.
because of the amount of football pitches over there. And yeah, so like I put the runes onto my football boots to give me a better performance during games and stuff. Um, and that only really worked because I played my first season when I was sort of like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Uh, I was more of a substitute for the team I played for. And then
Gotcha.
at the end of that season, I left because I wasn't really getting enough games. And it was
Yeah.
a team that my brother was in. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
experienced with some other people, and they said, "Oh, we got a Sunday team." So I went and joined them, and that's when I'd done the rune business.
Gotcha.
And for the season, the full season I played for them, I started off in defence as a defender, um, then went into midfield, and I was more of an attacking midfielder or defensive or central midfielder. But in that season, I was the joint top goal scorer for our
Oh.
team. You know, I scored 13 goals, and I'd missed a few games because I kept getting injured. I had a knee injury, so I'd play
But I
one
was a
week.
hero. I was a hero, so I fought through it and had the most goals.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of
I
what
got
I
those
do.
goals. I got those goals. But yeah, so for a defender slash midfielder to get more a joint top goal scorer
Yeah.
was pretty impressive. I thought. Um, so yeah, it's but again, as I said, like for the second half of the season, I missed a lot of games because of
Hmm.
injury. I'd play one week and then I'd have to rest for a week and then I'd be back the following week, sort of thing. Um, so yeah, if I had a good season, if I was consistent, I would have scored more. Surely, law of averages. Um,
Yep.
in terms
Yo.
of, yes, yeah, we're just going through my football career.
His illustrious football career.
Asterisk. Yeah, I've had some moments. I had
His
some
football, he
moments.
had some moments. When he used to knock it around with Beckham, things like that. Oh,
Yeah, in senior school, I only ever played, I think,
wait. So wait,
a couple of.
how could we say it? So you have to couch it, you have to say it so it's true, but then it leaves like it makes them wonder. So were you on the field? Were you ever on the field with them?
Yeah,
Okay, so you can say you were on the field. Like, yeah, even when I used to play when I used to be on the field with Beckham. Well, how could we turn it into a good? I'll think of it. I gotta think about. I'll brag for you. This is a good thing because then no one can
So
get called out,
the
dude.
game you played, I was playing in the position of right back, and
Yeah.
whenever I got the ball, because I
Did
was
you
like
ever pass it to him? Did you ever pass it to Beckham?
yeah, I had to pass it to him because he
Okay,
was the
we don't
best
say had. We don't say had, dude. We leave that part out. We don't have to pass it to Beckham. Like, yeah, you know.
player.
Okay, this is
You
gonna
know,
be
yeah,
good. I'm gonna have to compile this down, and I
I'd
have to.
see him calling for the ball, and I would put
Yeah,
that ball.
yeah, because you got to do it all true, but you just have to do it so it's like whatever, and then you just act like it's
I
no
see
big
me,
deal, dude. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
bring the ball out from defence. I would look up, and I would see him there. I could see that
I would see
he was
Beckham waiting
he
for
was
my
open.
pass. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just laid it up for him, and then he went on and done his magic.
yeah.
You know, I made him look good. I did the work. I made him look good. But yeah.
I was very, I can't say instrumental, whatever. You'd be like, this early career.
Well, that's the thing. Is like,
Some say I was very instrumental in his career, and I'd be the one who says it. Yeah, Lee
well,
was very instrumental in David Beckham's career.
I was very instrumental in him setting the school record for the 1600 meters.
Yeah, I think you
Because
did tell me that.
if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have been running as fast as he was.
Yeah.
Because I led that race for 3 laps. I like
You
I was
inspired him.
yeah, because
Yeah.
being a pace setter
Yeah,
in a long distance race, like you have
it's
pace
true.
setters.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
they set the pace. That's the hardest part of running. It's
Yeah.
very rare that a pace setter would win from
Yeah,
lead
because yeah, dude.
sort of thing. So if you're behind a pace setter, you're not running as hard. So you
Hmm.
sort of reserve
Yeah,
your
so he coasted on your coattails. That's fine.
exactly. Yeah,
Becker, you can't, like, yeah, dude, you can't expect him to make it on his own. He has to ride your coattails.
yeah. He had to, and I made him
There's,
work for it as well. I
yeah,
made him work so hard for it, right?
and
That
he
the
set a
following
record.
year, our meet up, he started giving me a whole load of baloney about, oh yeah, you've won this one, Lee. You've won this one this year because I've had a real bad back injury,
Yeah,
and like I'm very sort of skeptical. You know, he's come up to me saying, "Oh, you've got this." I don't believe bullshit. I don't believe it at all. But because somebody else chipped in and backed up the thing, I thought, "Oh, okay," and I
yeah.
decided, "Oh, I won't push myself," and I didn't. And he just went, "Boo." Yeah. So he had an easy race that year, and I basically realised I was a prize cock for believing it, sort of thing. You should never believe that you're told.
Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. Yeah, but as I
Don't
said, I
believe the
didn't
hype.
believe him because this other guy chipped in, and
So
you know,
David Beckham lied to you, dude. It wasn't your year, dude. Oh.
to be fair, it probably wouldn't have been my year anyway because I literally just ran. I didn't do any form of exercise. You know, he was training with Man United.
Well, yeah, anybody, that's the thing, dude. Anybody can do anything with training. It's like,
Mm,
okay, yeah, sure, you can go work out and become the world's best soccer star, but can you sit on the couch, never train, and go out there and bang it in, dude? Like, that's when you know you're good. If you go and train, it's like, okay, yeah, but you trained. Like, anybody can train and accomplish things.
yeah,
Can you not train and accomplish things? That's when you
no,
know you got it,
that's
dude.
when you know that you are a level above. You
Yeah,
know, when
that's when
you're a
you're like,
couch
dude,
potato,
yeah, dude. When
not
you're like,
doing
hey,
steady squat.
yeah, dude. When you're touched by the gods.
Yeah, exactly. And you go out there, you got David
Yeah,
Beckham who's been training
yeah,
24/7
dude. Like,
his entire life. You
yeah,
turn up with a really tight pair of shorts, sort of
yep.
thing,
And
barely
then just go home.
overhanging
You don't
those,
have to kick it. You don't have.
and you blow him off the park.
Yeah. That's my whole thing. It's like, yeah, dude, anybody like he worked day and night and he won this race. I'm like, well, yeah, dude, you train that hard. There's no secret sauce. You just got to work a lot. That's nothing special.
There was this football player called Matthew Letitia, right? And you'd watch him play football, and he had, you knew he was overweight. You could tell
Yeah,
he was over. But oh my god, that guy had such a beautiful touch.
yeah,
He could
yeah, yeah.
control the ball, and like he was like this really great goal scorer for his team. He stayed
Hmm.
with his team throughout his career, not wanting to leave. He was, other big teams like Man United went after him, and like other
Really?
teams. But he said, no, I'm happy here, sort of thing. And he was like, people used to mock him a bit. Oh yeah, you eat too many pies, you drink too many beers,
Yeah,
and all that. But that boy, oh my god, he had such skill,
yeah,
and how fat he might have been at times. You see him do stuff that would just defy
yeah.
the gravity and stuff like that.
Well, that thing too is like, okay, you can be fat and still have a bunch of muscle and be athletic underneath it. You know what I mean, dude? If you like work out, it's like, okay, you're just not watching your diet. You know what I mean? But you're still,
Yeah.
you might have whatever, but it's like you can be. Uh, well, I think we will call it an evening. It's
Yeah.
about a good time. I'll go feed the puppy.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining as usual, everyone. Hang in there for another week of whatever is going on this year in the world of bad news. We need more good
Yeah.
stuff. Maybe the squats will bring
Prison
something
fire.
good. Yeah, dude. And then you said this weekend you got your walk.
Yeah, so I won't be doing my live stream
Gotcha.
because I'll be driving back from said time walk
All right.
stuff.
Oh, I should
Um,
have dual streamed. We gotta start. I gotta remember, dude. We can stream now to this and Twitch at the same time. So
oh,
we'll start doing that. So we'll be dual channel play.
double double.
Yeah, more fame for us, dude. A lot more fame on two channels
Oh,
for
we
us.
get raids. We get raids on Twitch.
Yeah, dude.
We
So
get raided. Like,
I gotta
we're being
remember.
raided.
Yeah. So I'll try to set that up. I haven't gone through the ins and outs of it yet, but I know I can do that now. So we're gonna try that. So thank you for joining, everyone. I am going to end it for now. Peace out. Hope to see you again next week. And I don't know, keep hobbying. Show me cool pics. I'm gonna post again. There was a bunch this week. I didn't post it in a while, and then I was scouring a bunch of just everyone's paint work. It still blows me away. Like you can just watch people get better so much quick. Like even in the last year and a half, I've seen so many people get just like really good. I'm like, wow, that's like a huge. They're like, oh, I'm just doing this and whatever, and you catch it like 6 months later, and like they got this whole like style going on and everything. So it's just always inspiring as usual.
Yeah, it's awesome when you see that happen.